Hey, it's Scott here with 802 Outdoor Adventures. Just in case you're new here, my name's Scott, like I just said, and on my channel I do a lot of gold panning and metal detecting. So, that being said, I feel I kind of owe you all an apology. A couple videos ago, I posted about the Goldie box, and I called it a review, and it was really more of a first impression video. And after I've watched it a couple of times, watched it back, and I just didn't really feel that I got my point across, I guess, or I don't know, it wasn't a review. And now that I've used it quite a bit, I think I'm going to do a proper review on that. And I left more questions unanswered, I guess, in the initial video. And I felt like I kind of gave it a bad rap right out of the gate, because it's actually a nice little rig. And I usually don't bring up products that I don't like. So just in the fact that I pulled this product out, put it in the river and started using it means that I liked it. We're going to do a proper review on this thing. I've made some notes. I've used it enough now so I can really give you some honest opinions on it. I do like it. I'm going to use it more and more. And let's just do a proper review on this thing. I think I owe it to you folks, and especially Goldie box, to do a proper review and answer some of the questions. I had reached out to them and asked them a few questions that I wasn't quite sure about. So, and I think I might have touched on them in my last video where I did the capture test. And just know that on that capture test, I've never done that before, and I think I mentioned it in the video, but I think it's important to realize that I've never done something like that before on any other box. So, you know, a 97% capture rate is a benchmark to be set for everything. And this summer I'm going to spend some time, and we're going to set up all the boxes I have, including the next one I'm going to buy, which is the Green Mountain Gold Trap, the little one he's selling. And we're going to do a test on that too. So in all fairness, I can't look down my nose at a 97% capture rate, especially when, you know, the big rigs on Gold Rush are they're happy with 90%. So I think, and we know that captures small gold. You saw it in my first video. I mean, some of that gold was just tiny. So anyways, let's take a look at this box a little bit closer. So on their website, they say the box is 20 inches long, which it's around 19 inches. At the back of the flare, you're looking at about 8 inches, and then it tapers down to 4 3/4 on the front. And the capture tray is roughly 5.5 inches long. It's got 2 tubes in there, and I think there's 3 holes in each tube. And one of the key features on this thing is this replaceable grizzly or classifier. Here we go. So this one did break, and I think you saw in one of the videos that this seam right here separated. This is not actually a seam. He was telling me how this process works, because I'm not familiar with these boxes. But this is one piece. It's just a change in color. And I do like the color. I think the green and black is pretty sharp. So he did send me another one, and he sent me one in all black. He reached out to me and said, "Hey, you want one in all black?" I said, "Sure." And he sent me new grizzlies also. And part of the design change, because that one broke, was he put more flexible clips in on these things, which was a great idea, because those things aren't going to break. So So we got one of these, and we got the round one. And one of the things that I had mentioned was that I didn't like this one. And that one of my questions was, why two? Because usually you either get round classifying holes or you get these, which is more standard in the boxes we run. His theory behind that was this is more for like the round pebbly stuff like I'm into here. And this one is for the more shaly and scaly, flatter material. Sometimes we run into that up here, and now I can see, and had I thought it through, yes, that's exactly why those things are made that way. So I think that's a huge advantage to buying one of these. I need to tell you price, which is something that I didn't do in my first video on when I initially brought it out of the box. But these are $115 delivered to your door. I don't think you can beat that price anywhere. It's just a good deal for what you get. And they're 2 pounds. They are super light, which is a huge plus. So let's get out of the parking lot here. I'm gonna put on my chest waders. We're gonna see if we can't get this thing set up in the river. We're gonna show you how to set the thing up, how to properly run it, because in my first video, the flow was really slow. A lot of people reached out and said, hey, that flow is too slow. It caught gold still. I did know that the flow was too slow. Honestly, I had a hard time setting it up, and that's not the box's fault. It just happens to be where I was in the river. I got impatient, and I shouldn't have. I should have set it up properly. I think you'll see if you've watched the capture rate video, you'll see that the flow's a little better. But we're going to go back up there where we were to do the capture rate test, and we're going to set this thing up. We're going to run some dirt through it. I know there's no gold up there. I didn't bring any gold to run through it. That's really not the purpose of this video. I just want to showcase this product and do a proper review. All right, we're going to have to make do with this camera setup. So I think I got my flow pretty good. I'm going to just get a scoop of this really light gravelly stuff. I'm not classifying anything, and I think if I had, this flow would be damn near perfect. Some of the bigger rocks don't flow down through, but the smaller ones do. They say on their website, yeah, that's pretty good. That goes right down through. Just tap some of that through. That grizzly being a little more flexible really helps. Hopefully some wind won't come and knock my camera in the water. That's gonna make me mad. So here's some more unclassified material with some bigger rocks. As you can see, they do sort of move along. Sort of. Sometimes you gotta help them, but you have to do that with all of them. So one of the things that I try to achieve when I do this is, you see this, it almost will form a V here. You see how it goes that way? I don't have the water or the box squared to the water flow. Otherwise that V would be right down the middle, and that's what I like to look for. But the water's high today because of all the damn rain we had this week. And I've looked at a couple of other spots, and I think the water's just flowing way too fast. So this is a nice, probably medium flow, I would say. Sort of the kind of flow that I like to run it at. I want to just, I don't know if you can see that, but I'm just going to pick out some of the rocks and then just splash it in there. I'm going to chime in right here, and I just want to point out something that I should have before. And if you notice the V, the end of the V in the flow, needs to be down the box a little farther. That's a good indicator as to how good your flow is. The farther down the end of that V is in the box, the faster the flow. Yeah, one important thing that I don't think I've ever talked about is keeping your tailings off the end of this thing shoveled out, because they will build up and affect that flow through there. Chime in time again. Notice where the back of that box is sitting on that rock, and notice throughout this sequence of video where the box ends up. As I keep hitting the end of the box, clearing out the tailings, the box is sliding forward, and it does affect my flow a little bit. After the flood, this section of the river filled right in and then diverted the river. And when they brought the excavator in to dig it back out again, they only did about half a job. They certainly didn't bring it back down to where it had been, even pre-Irene levels, even post-Irene levels. I know we talk a lot about Irene. That would be Hurricane or Tropical Storm Irene. That was the first major flood since probably the 70s around here. And it really stirred up this river in a good way. People were finding a lot of gold up here. But I can tell you for a fact that since that flood in July, it stirred this river up in a bad way. It filled this river in with all kinds of useless gravel. Now if you want to find gold, you got to dig. Used to be you could at least come in and pick a spot and have a lot better chance of finding some flour gold. But I haven't found that the case after that flood in July. Whoops. That's kind of holding that there for me. I'd say that's a little bit of a con with all these little boxes, and not just this one, is they tend to be uprooted pretty easy. See now I don't know if you can see that with the camera angle, but the tailings are starting to build up beyond, and it does affect that flow. Are you keeping your eye on the end of that V? After I knocked that box, it affected the flow. In the end of that V starting to creep up the box just a little tiny bit. So while I'm shoveling into this and you can see it run, I'm just going to mention some of the key features, and they list them on the website as well. Price. Price is a really key feature to this thing, $115. It's a good price. It excels at fine gold recovery. We know that because of the first run we had, we saw the really fine gold that was in this thing. And it has a really high capture rate. We know that too because we tested it, and it's a little over 97%. One thing I should have mentioned when I set this up is that I usually use the 2-second rule. So when the material's put on the deck, it shouldn't take any longer than 2 seconds for it to clear. And I don't even notice it here. Weight is another key feature on this thing. At 2 pounds, you can carry this thing for miles, and then you'll have some extra carrying capacity for some other stuff. I think I mentioned that in my first video. The older I get, the more important weight becomes, because I can't carry as much as I used to. Unlike a conventional sluice box, there's no matting in this thing. Which means very fast cleanouts. On their website, they say you can clean this out in about 30 seconds, which I think that's a pretty accurate estimation. There I go. Tailings are getting built up again. Little sweep of the tailings. I'm going to say that the 3D printed design is sort of a plus too, because on all the other boxes I've glued in, or like the Reaper, he cut in riffles. And they say the riffles slow down the flow some. But with this 3D printed design, and I've witnessed it, it doesn't grab and hold the gold, but it does slow it down enough for you to see it, and it gives you an indication if you're on the gold or not. And I always like having that indicator to know if I'm still digging in good ground. Here, I'm pretty sure I'm not in good ground. But like I said, the purpose of this video isn't to catch gold. We've already been there, done that. I just want to do a proper review on this thing. And I think the last key feature that I should mention is that this thing is built right here in the United States, right out in California. And the guys that are building it have been experimenting with these things for since 2015, not 15 years, but since 2015. So the design, I think, is pretty perfected. As far as cons go, I'm not finding a whole lot of cons with this thing so far. Okay, 3 things to notice so far. When I knocked the end of the box with my shovel, I knocked the rock that was guiding the water into the box over, affecting the flow. Notice how far downstream the box has moved. That's affecting my pitch. That's affecting my flow. And notice the tip of the V, how far back up the box that thing's traveled. And that's indicating a slower flow, and I should be noticing that. So just in case you're wondering, this is a pretty typical, looks like my flow's a little bit light, dip changed a little, because look at the V pattern through there. It's down the middle. So like I was saying, just in case you're wondering, this is pretty typical of shoveling in unclassified material into these boxes, where I kind of removed, oh, I got the end of it, where I kind of removed the, well, we'll see, see what I did. Maybe I helped it. All right, let's finish what I was saying. This is pretty typical of what I usually do when I'm running unclassified material, is I pull out the bigger stuff before I feed it. And I usually always will have to, if you go look in some of my previous videos, I usually always have to kind of clean off the end of the end of the box with the rocks that get stuck on the darn thing, on the outgoing end. But one of the other things that I wanted to do before I did this review is I wanted to talk about the angle of the classifier. I think they're a lot steeper on everything else, and I think that's a big advantage of the pitch that he's got on this thing, or the angle of those. I think it does help material run off of this thing. I say that as it gets stuck. I kind of like that these are plastic, because they separate when you push the rock through, whereas like the bazooka, I'm having to stab the shovel into that thing, kind of bang them down through, because they don't want to move. They get stuck in those wire grizzlies. So those being a little bit flexible is kind of a plus too. One of the other things I look for, and the visibility is really good on this, is watching for those tubes. As soon as those tubes start to disappear, you know that that capture tray's filling up. And I wouldn't hesitate running this thing. I mean, I'd feel comfortable with shoveling this in this thing for a couple of hours. I don't know how much heavy's in this, how much black sand, because that would probably determine the length of time, or gold, of course, if your capture tray fills up with gold. There, that was quite of a, there, let's just put a big plop of dirt on there and look at that. Well, I think I failed to mention in the beginning, after you get this set up, is to preload the capture tray. Just put a scoop full of gravel in there, get some material in there, because that will help you, that will help catch the gold. I don't often show it, but I never go right to where I'm digging and start feeding it. I always put a scoop or two of surface gravels in it and sort of, I call it preloading it. It'll help capture the gold. I'm gonna just do a couple more scoops here, and then we'll do a clean out. We'll pan it off and see what kind of heavies we have. See if we got any flood gold out of it. I don't hold much hope. And it's not the box's fault. It's just the fact that there's probably gonna be no gold in this material. Can't blame your equipment all the time if you don't get the gold, can you? You're the blame for digging in the wrong spot. So let's see, I'm gonna move my rocks back. We're gonna pick this out of here. You can see down in the capture tray that everything looks clean. Even though I'm not going to pan anymore. Well, there, even with that little hiccup, I think I got it out and back again in 30 seconds. I think the flow's even better than it was. So, website's okay there. So there's black sand in that. You can see all the black sand. Let's go up here and we'll just see if I can't get this. See how we do with one hand. Whoops. All right. Not much material in there. Like I said, I think you could shovel into that for a couple hours and it would be good. Well, just as I thought, oh, look at that. Wow. One itty bitty fly poopy. I'll have to circle that in the video if you can't see it. I can't see it on my screen, but we got gold. Guess what? It's going back in there. We'll leave it for somebody else. Okay, so in conclusion, I think this box will do the trick. Like I said, I'm going to use it. So I'm going to just be up front with you and tell you that I am going to use this one. I'm probably going to bring the black one out the next time and test that. I can't imagine that it would work any different. It's the same thing, just in black. But you will see me not using this on occasion. If I go someplace that I know I'm getting decent gold, I can use the bazooka and feed it a lot faster. However, I'm not going to be afraid to bring this on my prospecting trips because it's light, it's easy to set up. We just realized that we could feed into that without classifying, and I wouldn't be afraid to shovel into this thing all day long. It's so easy to clean out. If you're afraid that the thing's backing up, pull it out of the water, throw it back in, less than 30 seconds, you're back shoveling again. And the concentrates that it leaves behind are not much. I mean, there's so few that you can shovel off the little pebbles that are in there, dump off what's left, and I still don't think you'd have 2 cups of concentrates at the end of the day. You wouldn't have to do hardly any panning on the stream. And you know how much I like that. Leave the fine panning to home. Processing materials, how you get gold. So I'm liking this thing. I'm liking it more and more. I wouldn't hesitate to buy one of these. Throw it in your arsenal, right in your backpack. You won't even know it's there. Well, I hope that was a better video. I'm going to try to do better on my videos. I just don't have a lot of time for editing. When I get on the stream or I get a metal detector in hand, taking video is sort of second. And I think I'm going to try to make it more of a close second, kind of boost the quality of my videos, spend a little more time editing, because I really do enjoy making these videos. It's just time for me. That's all it boils down to. And I promise I'm going to start taking more time, putting a little more effort into these things. So I hope you'll see the quality go up a little bit. So anyway, if you like that video, let me know in the comments. If you think I should be doing something different, let me know. I can improve the bullet point list that I have and make the next one even better. And stay tuned, end of March probably for the next one. I've got a couple of side jobs coming up, so I'm going to boost that play money account of mine. And I'm going to buy the Green Mountain Gold Trap, the small one. We're going to play with that one next. Thanks for watching. I appreciate every one of you. And y'all take it easy. See you, bye.